right, so this is course 4. So we're probably going to spend a bit more time on review because some of you guys we went over quite a bit last class. So the objectives here is we're going to review expressions, variable expressions, and just variable declarations, and then we're going to do some new stuff, which is Booleans and selections, which is pretty interesting. Okay, so guys, you should join the pair deck. That way you can do the assignments. I think we just have one assignment for this class. That way you can interact better. So guys, go to joinpd.com, then type in this code. So just let me know if let me know when you guys are in. And I'll give you guys the time that was supposed to be waiting for other people for this one, okay? Type in the chat when you're in. Hello, you street. Can I get an indication? Are you here? Can you type in the chat? Uh, are you good? Okay, perfect. So once again, you can use a Python compiler to help you navigate code as well. So just free up online Python compiler, choose any one of the links. You can save your code in the Google Docs if you want to learn it later. But for me, I'll just be typing in here and you can see the output over here. That way it'll make it a lot easier for you guys, okay? You guys don't have to do this one. This one's optional. Here, and then we have a group me in Google Classroom. You guys can go into the recording and then take a picture of these or scan the QR code or whatnot. I'm not gonna, these aren't like super important. Just if you have any questions, it's easier for you guys to reach me here. And then I will post like slides and then recordings in here as well. Okay, so here's going to be the main review. So class 1 and 2 was introductions and basic, just like general Python. So you're going to see here a print statement. Let me know if at any time I need to slow down, but a print statement is called print, followed by parentheses, and then quotation marks. And then inside the quotation marks, anything you want to type out. So print hello. You just click simple run, you're just going to print out hello. Print statements, and then you have comments. These are for yourself. Doesn't affect the program at all because they can't read it at all. So if I say hello again, it's not going to print out two hellos. It's just one hello because this one gets ignored. And then variables. So it's important for the first couple lessons we went over variables. So variable is basically uh, some storage, a container for any sort of value that you want to hold in your program, and you can access it later. So in this instance, remember the assignment statement has three parts. The name of the variable, which I just called variable, equal to the value that you want it to be. So I just set variable equal to 10 here. It's pretty self-explanatory. And then here we're using the print statement, but instead of using quotation marks, we're going to print out the variable times 10 or the variable plus 5. Does that make sense? Does everybody follow these? Does everybody understand these parts? I know I'm going kind of fast for it. Do you understand? Okay. So, and then make sure you know all these different types of operators. So, oh, hello, Theodore. Theodore, if you could please join the pair deck on the top right-hand side of the screen, that would be amazing.
Got it.
Okay. And we are doing print statements, review statements. Okay, so remember addition here is with the plus sign, subtraction was the minus sign, asterisk for multiplication and division. And then we can go on to more types. Okay, so in this instance, variable 10 times 10 is 100. 10 plus 5 is 15. Okay. Okay. So here we go. So the first new thing here is the Boolean data type. So this is actually quite conceptually easy. So the Boolean is in a program, and sometimes we need to compare two values. So for instance, if some variable I is greater than some variable j, there's some comparison operators that are pretty important. And we call these the relational operators, and that these can be used to compare two values. And the result of the comparison is the Boolean value. So this last sentence is pretty much all you need to know, is that the Boolean value can either be true or false. Does that make sense? So this is like essentially like a coin flip. It's either heads or tails. A Boolean value is either true or false. So in your Python program, to declare it, you once again call a variable. So for example, variable of if some variable equal to true, sorry, true, I think, yeah, or false. These are variable declarations. Okay, I think actually, if we print out this variable, I don't think this is or yeah, okay, yeah. So this is how it's supposed to be. Okay, so you declare either true or declare false. Okay, does that make sense? That's a Boolean, and then I'm going to explain more down here why this is important in program. So let's take a look at this one example. So this is a relational operator, and we're going to go more into depth of this, but can anyone tell me what this b value is going to be equal to? You can just type in the chat or say it out loud.
Wait, what'd you say?
Okay, so knowing that a Boolean can either be true or false, given this Boolean value of b, this Boolean variable, what is b going to be equal to if it's this given this expression?
False.
Correct. So since 1 is not greater than 2 at all, b is actually going to be equal to false. And then we can actually see this. So we can visualize this by saying 1 greater than 2. You click run, it's going to be false again. So this is what we call a Boolean expression. And this is going to be important as we go into the next slide, which is the Boolean operator. So much like, sorry, much like other operators, like it's pretty common sense. So less than sign, if you guys have been in your math class, you have the less than sign, less than equal to sign, greater than equal to, or not equal to. So here's an important distinction. So remember that there's a there's a difference between the single equals and the double equals, okay? So this first equals is whenever using an assignment statement. Okay, so whenever some value x, some variable x is equal to some other value that you want to put, you use a single equal sign. But if you want to use a Boolean expression, in this case, you would do two equal signs. And since 1 is not equal to 2, variable is gonna be false, it's gonna print false. But if I change it into 2 is 2 equal to 2, yes, since 2 is equal to 2, it's gonna output true. Okay, so make sure you guys aren't doing the single equal sign because that will generate an error. Make sure whenever you're trying to determine true or false, you use a double equal sign. Does that make sense? Okay. So, and then also not equal to, these are pretty important, but they're kind of common sense. So you guys should be able to like know where they are, make sense for these. And so the whole point of using these relational operators and Boolean expressions, like why would you only want to have either true or false, is in this next case. So this is called an if statement. So if okay, so this is the Boolean expression statement. So if some expression is true, it's going to run the code. Okay, so let's go 1 equal to 2. So if variable is true, we're going to print out that 1 is equal to 2. Oh, 1 is equal to 2. Does this make sense what I'm trying to do here? Okay, so we're setting variable equal to 1 if 1 is equal to 2. Since 1 is not equal to 2, it's false. So this condition will not run, and we will only print out variable at the end. So it should only be false. So there's a couple parts to an if statement. We can dissect this later, but the first thing is, sorry, you need to call the if statement. So simply click if, and then you can either enter here, you can do a Boolean variable or just an expression. So for instance, I could, if 1 is equal to 2, and then you click the colon. So you need a colon here, and then also need indentation. Anything within the if block. This is what we call a block of code. Is going to run. So since once again 1 is not equal to, these are both not going to run the code. But for instance, if 1 is equal to 1, and then we can change this to this. Notice that because 1 is equal to 1, variable is true. So we do run through this if statement when we print out 1 is equal to 1. And then at the end, we just print out the variable, which is true. Does that make sense? Is everybody kind of following? Let me know if I need to slow down or explain more about this. Yeah, okay, so let's going back to this example here. This is a kind of a flow chart. This is a flow diagram that you're going to see a lot in programming. So you can imagine this diamond here as the if statement. So inside this, if the radius is greater than equal to 0, we're going to run this code. And otherwise, we're going to skip this block of code. So you can see this, it has a code written here. So if the radius is greater than equal to 0, if some variable called radius is greater than equal to 0, then we're going to find the area of a circle. But if the radius is less than 0, then that's not a circle at all. So you can skip this condition. So here's like the basic breakdown of this diagram, so you guys can, because we're going to be going over more of these later. So some expression here, in this case, it's radius is greater than equal to 0. And if it's true, we're going to write output some code. Otherwise, if it's false, we're going to go through. Does that make sense? Okay. So an important thing to note, I talked to you guys in the first couple lessons about spacing and how it's super important within programming. For for uh for if statements and anytime you're using any sort of code that is like in a block, you need to indent it. So for instance, if this was not indented, this would probably generate an error, I think. Yeah, so it generates an error. Make sure that it is tabbed over. But for these other lines that aren't inside this if statement, if you tab them over, it's probably going to be like an error, yes. So just make sure that if it's using an if statement, anything that you want to be inside the if statement is going to be tabbed over. Okay? That's an important distinction. I think actually we could probably do an exercise here. So let's see. I'll write like an example here so that you guys know. So an important thing is, let's say a variable called name is equal to, say my name Ethan, and then we go to, so if name uh, equal to Ethan, we could print out your name is Ethan. This is pretty simple. So this one flows quite logically. So your name is Ethan, which is my name. But if I changed it so that instead of Ethan, it would be Nathan, nothing would run because the name is not equal to Ethan. Okay, so just remember, double equal sign is the equal if an expression operator. Single equal sign is the assignment. That can be pretty tricky sometimes. Yeah. Okay. So moving on, we're going to use a two-way if statement. So now what you can do is, given some Boolean expression, if it's true, you can do something. Otherwise, if it's false, you can do another thing. And the way we do this is by an else statement. So in this instance, I can demonstrate because else print your name is not. Does that make sense? So if I go back to it being Ethan, this first case is my name is equal to Ethan. Since my name is equal to Ethan, this first part is true. So we execute this whole first block of right here. We execute print your name is Ethan. But if I change it again to be Nathan, it's going to print out your name is not Ethan. Why? Because in this first case, since name is not equal to Ethan, so this first one, I would say, evaluates to false. We're going to skip this line completely, and then we're going to do the else. So in this instance, since the name is not Ethan, we're going to execute this code, which is your name is not Ethan. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So in this case, if some Boolean expression is true, you're going to do this. If it's false, you're going to do this. All right, and this is why in Booleans in general, that's why it's either true or false. So you either execute this code or you don't execute it, or you can add an else statement to execute something else. Okay. And then the way this is represented in the diagram is by two-way. That's why it's called two-way. Either go left if it's true or right if it's false. And then you just continue on with the rest of your code. So for instance, if I just print hello user, like this is not going to be affected at all by this if statements. Like it's going to continue on like nothing happened. Okay. Okay. That one's pretty easy. So, and another example of using the else if statements is this radius, remember? Since if a variable called radius and say like a circle is greater than 0, then you can just compute the area given this formula. You remember using your expressions and printing out the area. Otherwise, you're going to print out negative inputs because the radius cannot be negative of a circle cannot be negative. So that's invalid. And then here is the next step. So instead of what you could do is this big long lengthy sign of a bunch of if and else statements, but you can also conversely do elif. So what elif is it's you can think of this as an abbreviation of else if. So this is an extra check. So so I'll write a code here actually. So and then I'll explain it later. Elif. Oh, sorry. Then print out. Okay, so how this flows is first, we're going to check this first condition. Remember, in Python, we read topped down. Since the name is currently Nathan, let me capitalize that. The name is currently Nathan. Actually, let me move this one spell. The name is currently Nathan, and Nathan is not equal to Ethan. And we're going to skip this one. This one's false, so we skip it. And then we're going to check the second condition, which is if name is equal to Nathan. And since name is equal to Nathan, we're going to print that the name is Nathan. And then we're going to skip the rest of the statement. So just click here. Your name is Nathan, hello user. And then also, if you want to try, for example, Josh, the name is not equal to Ethan, the name is not equal to Nathan, so it's going to print that your name is not Ethan. That way it should be. There you go. See, that's the use of the else if statement. So you can add multiple checks. One of the basic implementations of this is like determining your letter grade for your score. So for instance, if I get 100 in a class using this program simple grade score right here, you can like know if you got like an A, B, C, D, or F. Since if it's above a 90, it's an A. And then if it's not above a 90, it's going to check if it's above 80, check if it's above 70, if it's above 60, and then otherwise just fail the class. So yeah. Does that make sense? Does everyone understand the else if statements?
Yeah.
All right. Cool. So this is what it looks like in the flowchart. If this is kind of just check this first diamond. If your grade is above 90, you just print out the grade that the grade is an A. Continue. Otherwise, you're gonna check 80. And if it's true, you go on. If it's false, you check 70. If it's greater than 70, you go on. Otherwise, you check 60. And then finally, even if that's not true, if your score is not even greater than 60, then you're gonna just print out F. Okay, so we're gonna trace this with a little bit more visual help. So let's say the score is 70. So it's not listed here, but somewhere else in the program we say that the score is 70. So in this first condition, since 70 is not greater than or equal to 90, this first condition is false. So we just skip it. Okay, so we skip this code right here. We don't execute it. In the second check, since 70 is not greater than equal to 80, this condition is false again. So we skip this part as well and we go on to the next check. Since 70 is greater than or equal to 70, this condition is true and greater is equal to C. Does that make sense? And then we're going to skip past the rest of the 60. We're going to skip past the 60 check and the else check because we've already evaluated it one. Okay. So guys, this one might be quite hard to do, but I believe in you guys. So let me create something for you guys to do it. Okay, so here's the assignments. Okay, so given a random month, I want you guys to use uh yeah, so given a year, and remember this modulus operator from last time, I want you guys to create a program that can find out your zodiac sign. And here's the list of the zodiacs if you need to know, using your if and else if statements. Then I'll give you guys some time for this one. This one might take a little longer. So yeah. So if you guys are new here, go to your pair deck and there should be a text box on the right hand side of your screen. And I want you guys to submit your answers there. So for instance, you'll have like responses and then I could see them on here. If as soon as you type something in, you'll get some responses. And once again, if you like disconnected from the pair deck, go to joinpd.com and then there should be the enter this code and you should be able to join it. Okay, and just let me know when you guys are done. I'll give you guys like about like 10 minutes on this one. There's not much after this. And let me know if you guys have any questions, of course. I'll be happy to answer. Okay, I'm gonna check y'all's responses. Or actually, I'll give you some more time. But what do you guys? Just make sure like you guys are doing the assignment. If anything, like this is for yourself. I'll do it. I'll show you guys the example and the answers later. So to check, just a reminder that if you have any questions, just feel free to type in the chat or let me know. Let me see. Okay, so it's been good. I'll check how you guys are doing, and then I'll show you guys the answer to this. Okay, so this first person, okay, this is on the right track, but remember, the answer wanted you to type this out in Python, so you might be probably a bit new here. So this one person didn't have a response, and this other, let's see here. No, so one person deleted the response, but that's okay. So this one seems pretty good. But just in case, yeah, this is good. So I'll just show you guys the example. So remember, in this example, we wanted to find out the Chinese Zodiac given for a year. So just give an arbitrary year, which is, let's say, and since now it's 2025, right? And then we're gonna have number, let's go to year, modulus of 12. So to understand this code, I'll probably give you guys some more comments. So we're gonna create a variable called number. You set it equal to the modulus of year and two. So remember the modulus sign, if you guys weren't here, the modulus sign finds the remainder of year from 12. So for this main thing, it's since there's 12 months in the zodiac, you want to find 2025 and what the current year is after divided by 12. So use the modulus operator. That makes sense? And of course, let me know if any time if we're struggling. So and basically what we do here is we need to create a super long if statements to determine whether which year it is. So if year is equal to one, or sorry, equal to zero, since let's see here, your or sorry, print out monkey. Okay, because that's the first year. And then we can to make it simpler, like I can just copy paste it. So don't feel ashamed for doing that. So let create 12 of these. I don't think that's 12, but just do this. So if it's 1, if it's 2, we check if it's 3, then we check if it's 4, then we check if it's 5, then we check if it's 6, then we check if it's 7, check if it's 8, 9. No, since there's no more, we'll do 3 more. Check if it's 10, check if it's 11. Okay, we didn't need the last one. Second one is the rooster. Uh, third one is the dog. Then we have pig, rat, ox, tiger, rabbit, dragon, snake, horse. Okay, so since the year is 2025, it should give us one of these equal to whatever the current year is. So, oop, let's see here. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, let's see. Oh, sorry. Sorry. Okay, this is my bad. Sorry, that was my mistake. Instead of checking for the year, we have to check for the number, which is the remainder. Okay. Yeah, that was kind of stupid. Actually, yeah, I'm lazy, so all right. Okay, so currently, if you were born in the year 2025, your zodiac sign would be a snake. Does that make sense? So here's a code, and I can kind of see. So this first one, you guys created a function. We haven't gone over this yet, but this seems pretty good. Just remember the indent correctly. Just remember, like you need to have like a tab here. I don't know if it's just that this kind of deleted it, but just remember that. And then yeah, this is good. This is good. And then for this one, I hope you guys know what I'm looking for. If you have any questions over this code, just please just let me know, and we can test this for like different stuff. So if you want to instead be 2000 flat 2000, and then you're a dragon, you'd be a dragon. If you were born in like 1967, you would be a sheep. If you were born in 2009, you would be an ox. Does that make sense? Okay. So that's pretty good. That's one exercise. So that's pretty cool. So yeah. And then we're gonna go over some more stuff. So common errors. So most common errors in selection is what we call when we use if statements are by you most of these errors are caused by incorrect indentation. So these two segments, code A and code B, is incorrect. Or sorry, code A and code B are different, and depending on which one you want, this is going to be an error. One of them is going to be an error. So important to remember the indentation is the main thing. So for every single line you want included in this if statement, you have to indent it, not just this first line. So for this one, it would still print out the area, even if it's undeclared. So this could be an error. So just remember to indent everything. So these are all indented, but if you wanted to add an extra statement, okay, this would be an error, but if you wanted to add more, so you print more stuff, hello, or print year, or if you want to print more stuff, remember everything in the if statement has to be indented. So yeah, that's one main error that people come up with. And then here's some tips. Um, a common thing people do with the Python in general is to determine if a number is even or not, is we find the modulus of 2. So since all even numbers are divisible by 2, uh, this it can easily find an even number. Otherwise, if this expression is not true, it's going to be an odd number. And you can just like you can even if you don't need to write if else statements for everything. You could just evaluate this as a Boolean expression by itself. So even is a Boolean expression, is a Boolean variable that is equal to this expression. So if number is modulus of 2 is equal to 0, that's going to be true. Otherwise, if this is false, even is going to be false. So that can be quite the jargon. This is just easier to understand. So even if this one is a little shorter, at the end of the day, it is your program. You can feel free to write what you need.